Welcome back to The Full View. It's great to have you with us, and in a short while we will be talking about what it would mean for the government, the president and South Africa if the Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is forced to step aside. Of course, he's been accused of sexually assaulting a masseuse at a hotel in the Kruger National Park. For now, however, black property practitioners have been discussing ways to grow their presence in the property space. The South African Institute of Black Property Practitioners hosted its 2022 annual convention earlier, discussing avenues to create a shared future in the property sector. To discuss, I'm thankful to welcome in our studio CEO of the South African Institute of Black Property Practitioners, Khululwa Muthwa. Thank you for being with us, Ms. Muthwa.
Thank you for having me.
For 2 years, apparently, this convention wasn't hosted in person. That's because of a pandemic and a whole lot of issues. So we know it's been rough for the sector. I'd like to open by asking you, how is the property sector doing right now?
Sure. You're correct. I mean, for 2 years, the pandemic has affected a lot of things, and we were very excited to host, the first physical annual convention after that break. But the property sector has been negatively affected by the pandemic, and we've seen a decline, in terms of growth in the property economy, and especially for black players who, a large majority, are still small businesses and growing businesses. So the impact that the property industry has experienced, which is negative, was even more magnified within the black property group.
And that as a result of them being generally smaller players rather than the traditional huge property companies?
Absolutely.
Entrepreneurs, who's sort of been getting involved?
Well, I mean, the property industry is quite broad. So you do have, landlords, you have professionals, like your architects, engineers, and the likes. And you have, within the broader built environment industry, even practitioners who are in construction, and a number of those engagements or initiatives were stalled, over a period of time, and that naturally meant that there were no new projects and there was no income, coming in. And for those, we know that those who are starting out, even if you have some projects, once they get delayed, then there's an impact, so it was even a bigger blow.
And of course there are different sectors. There's sort of your residential, then your commercial, your huge commercial properties, then the massive shopping centres.
Yeah.
So all with their different challenges.
Yep.
Can you pick out any where there are challenges or opportunities right now?
Well, I'd say, if you look at the office, sector, for an example, I think that was hardest hit because people
were working at home.
Exactly. People are working from home. So you found then that, the landlords were on the back foot, whereas, the tenants probably have a bigger, opportunity to negotiate, lower rentals because there's just no demand, for office accommodation. And I think that's probably, the sector that is taking a bit longer, to rebound. Shopping centers, I think they also, went down because, again, people were shopping online. But we found that has actually, shown an upward trend, post. So that had, a huge recovery post the COVID.
We still like shopping.
We still like shopping. We still like shopping. I actually, thought that, when people got used to shopping, online, they would actually continue. But
those were the predictions at the time. Yeah.
Clearly, people like to go out and mingle with other people, and I think to touch and feel, the goods before you buy them. And perhaps shopping is not just getting the goods; it's also the experience. So yes, we've seen a bit of a recovery in that sector.
All right, so what ideas were put forward, tangible ideas, specifically to help black property professionals?
So when we're looking at the convention, specifically, we looked at a number of, initiatives that would assist in terms of, getting the black property practitioners enjoying a fuller, benefit of the industry. And naturally, you have got a number, of enablers. Policy and regulation, for an example, is one of those. And in as much as it does not mean that you will get an opportunity, it creates an environment. And looking at engaging government to see how, that the policy environment or initiatives that are being driven actually create that environment. And more importantly, the implementation, of those initiatives. And we're also looking at alternative industries, because you may find that, we are all looking in one area, and there are untapped areas, probably within the tourism space, within the mining spaces, around, probably ports, where the opportunities that the majority of us are not even looking. I think the analogy that was used was probably, identifying the blue oceans and those opportunities that are largely untapped. We looked at obviously skills development within the sector, and not just the paper that you will get from an educational institution, which is very important, by the way, but also the building of the individuals in terms of work readiness, and even having those, soft skills to be able to identify opportunities, to be able to chase those opportunities, and, through mentorship and internships, and last but not last, actually, there's quite a number, but access to finance, because you find that in as much as there may be opportunities, some opportunities remain unutilized because there is no finance to actually unlock those opportunities.
Well, let's end there, because during COVID-19, government announced specific support for smaller businesses. And at one stage, I think the focus was mainly on tourism. But did any of those sort of initiatives help?
I think, to be honest, there are a number of initiatives that will have been rolled out over a period of time. And it would be unfair to say that none of them help. But you will probably find that you still have a small minority that benefits, from the opportunities. And when you're looking at the huge gap and the demand that is there to actually fast track, the transformation and the growth in the industry, it's almost like a drop in the ocean. So whilst we appreciate that there is some groundwork that has happened over the years, but we have not scratched the surface. The demand is still massive. The gap, is even wider. And I think even from a transformation point of view, at some point, the initiatives sort of like stalled. So there is a lot of work that still needs to be done, because only a minority of our members have actually benefited, whereas the majority are literally, on survival mode.
All right, well, hopefully next time we chat, that gap has reduced. Thank you so much for laying out the property sector for us and the challenges of black players specifically. That was the CEO of the South African Institute of Black Property Practitioners, Khululwa Muthwa.